Welcome to the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, the original food service equipment repair podcast built by technicians for technicians. Whether you're on the front lines of repair, keeping the kitchen running smoothly, or just passionate about the food service repair industry, this podcast is your go-to source for expert insight, tech tips, and real stories from the field. Everything said on the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles comes straight from the hosts and guests and does not represent the views of their employers, companies, or partners. We're here to share real stories, real experiences, and real opinions. Take it as insight, not as official policy. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. I am your host, Pat Finley. Tonight, I am joined by a very special guest, Mike Folta. But first, big shout out to Refrigeration Technologies and the Viper crew for taking care of the show. If you don't know, they make world-class NSF-rated chemicals that I use in kitchens, from coil cleaners, ice machine cleaners, heat blocking compounds. It's all NSF rated. It's all kosher. Great products, great crew over there. Check them out. Plus, they have Big Blue, Nylog White. They got it all. So if you're in the commercial HVAC or commercial kitchen equipment realm, check out Viper and Refrigeration Technology. So they got something that will work for you. So I've been following Mike for probably a couple of years on TikTok, and I had a guest cancel this week because they had a conflict come up, and Mike graciously stepped up. So thanks for coming on, Mike. How are you tonight, buddy?
I'm good, man.
Nice. And I never really knew your background starting out, just, interacting on TikTok. It's kind of weird. TikTok can be kind of distant or whatever. It's kind of weird. And, I love it. There's a lot of really cool people over there, a lot of great tradespeople, but, we talked a little bit this week, and I got to know some of your background, and it's pretty similar to mine. Now, you've done a lot more cool stuff than I've done, but you struggled in school. You came out, you made something of yourself in the trades and industry, and grew. And it's kind of the same thing I've did. You have a little bit more cool stuff than I've done, I think, but it sounds like it's pretty close to a similar story, similar storyline.
I've been pretty lucky where I live that I'm surrounded by military installations. So I've gotten the unique opportunity to go into some of those places and do stuff for them on a needed basis.
Yeah.
Sometimes the GIs they got working for them just can't quite handle everything, and they need somebody to step in.
Nice. So let's start from the very beginning. Take me back. Graduation day, you walked across the stage, but
I walk across the stage and they hand me my
blank diploma,
blue folder that doesn't have anything in it. It's just the binder, and says,
"I'll see you in a couple weeks."
There was actually a note in there that said, "You will receive your diploma once you've finished your accreditation." I actually took 2 semesters worth of school after my senior year in summer school to graduate.
At least you finished it, though.
I did finish it.
You did finish it. So
I had a couple of teachers I didn't see eye to eye with on my work ethic, and it didn't work out my senior year. So I was a little stubborn headed and had to finish after, but I got it done. I do have the official diploma along with the little baby mini one that they sent too.
I barely made it out of high school, man. It was rough. I think the only reason I made it out is because I did a vocational program, so I spent half the day doing electrical work. Like, that was the only reason I made it through high school.
I started out trying to do technology stuff with my high school. They had like a partnership with the Votech, and they had a electronics course. Well, I did 2 years of the electronics course, and it was supposed to be, if you do 3 years of electronics, you get a guaranteed scholarship for 75% funding to any Florida state school. And the third year, they cut the program, so I couldn't take a third course. So I was a little ticked off about that at the time. And I was working part-time at my girlfriend at the time's father owned an electric motor repair shop. So that's what I was doing with my spare time. Studying electronics, working on electric motors, rebuilding pumps and generator heads and rewinding motors, changing bearings, pump flutes, everything. So I got some really good hard learning done there while I was there.
That's funny. So if you were
my first real electrocution was there too.
I've had some hard ones, some good ones. Mine was a vocational school. I I was doing parking lot lights and they're 480 volt. Well, it wasn't on, so I thought it was off. And no, there was still 277 on one side of that photo cell.
Uh-huh.
And it lit me up, dude.
That
Laying on
277 is nasty. I got a 480 3-phase on a bench tester for a motor. When we put the motors up on the bench, they have an eye bolt on the top of them so that you can set them down with the crane. Well, I grabbed that eye bolt to keep the motor from jumping when I fired the test leads up, and the guy that I was working for had rewound it and had a short in it. So it got me good.
nice. That's yeah, 480 and 277 do not play, man. Do not play.
Nasty.
So if I was to run into you in high school, or summer school, would you believe that you'd end up where you're at now?
Absolutely not. I was a band geek.
I was
I
too.
played, I played instruments all through high school. I was recruited to try and play baseball at one point, but I was too busy with my band stuff to try and even worry about something else because it was all year.
I didn't. I don't think I've ever said this, but I was a band kid until my senior year. Um, so I was always in jazz band. I was always, like number one, number two chair or whatever for trumpet. And my summer before
Yeah,
my senior year, so I'd rather work and make money. Well, if you don't
yeah,
march, they throw you in concert band. And I was like, oh, you can just go ahead and remove me from that because I ain't doing that. So
yeah. I started out in trumpet and ended up playing French horn.
nice, nice. That's funny. That's funny. So how did you even end up in the trades in the first place?
So when I was working at the electric motor shop, it was probably the first full year after my senior year. I was working nonstop, and my boss at the time had bought the business from the previous owner, and he came to me one Friday and said, "Hey, here's your paycheck. Do you think you could wait till Monday to put this in the bank?" And I went, no. And then I determined that I needed to find a new home. I actually jumped from there to new construction plumbing for a year and a half. And the company I worked for was an umbrella company that encompassed air conditioning and electrical as well. And whenever we were slow, they would have me go pull line sets and start setting equipment for construction jobs. And so that's how I started doing air conditioning. And then from there, just OJT. I got a job working for a condominium where I was in charge of they had air conditioning Goodman split systems on the roof in just like a giant condenser farm of hundreds of units.
Well, I can imagine it now because I
Oh
will tell
man.
everybody you live in the Florida Panhandle, so it's condo city.
And it's a condo on the Destin Harbor, so it's right
Oh,
against the
oh
water.
yeah. So it's multiple stories. You get on the roof, and it's like, oh, I
They
hope.
had Addison and Aon common area units that did all of the hallways and all of the commercial spaces. And they had Florida heat pump, water source heat pumps down around the harbor walk and a cooling tower. I was in charge of all of that, all of their refrigeration, all of their cooking equipment, and the cold water pumping room and the fire pumping room was all under my purview when I worked there. And I had literally 6 months worth of refrigeration just touching things at the time. So it was a pretty big crash course in, oh, I got to fix your fryer. Oh, I got to fix your oven. Oh, your walk-ins down.
Yeah, that's what's
I
going to ask
remember
you.
that place vividly though because we had a banquet hall that had these massive like 1,500-pound ice machine bins that were double stacks. And I got a call one day for an ice machine. They said it stopped producing ice and they have a banquet going on. They need ice. And I went in there and you pull the little slider on the bottom half and there's no ice, but then you pull the slider on the top half and it's full of ice. So I just grabbed the spoon, shoved it up in there, knocked all the ice down. And I looked at the guy in charge of that banquet hall and I said, if you ever call me and tell me to come level your ice bin again, I'm going to tell you to screw off, basically.
That's funny. So, you're talking about on the job experience, just kind of thrown to the wolves. You didn't have any formal training. So, I
Nope.
mean, what did you do early on? Did you know people to call? Did you try to find information? Did you try to find manuals? How did you fight through that?
Well, the basic understanding I had when I started was from wiring diagrams for
Mm,
motors.
yep.
And I still preach this. I've been service manager at a company and I still preach this to every new guy. learn your wiring diagrams. I can tell you what every single symbol means and what every squiggly line means, and it's important. That's the difference between you touching something that can kill you and you surviving your job.
100%. That's a great point.
And I
Schematics.
haven't found anything to date that I can't fix with a wiring diagram and a sequence of operations.
Yeah, that's about everything we do. I mean, I don't know what all equipment you work on, but some of these wire diagrams are out of control for these ration
Okay.
elements and stuff like this. You're like, it's like multiple pages, and
Convotherm.
yeah, now you don't even get a wiring diagram. Now you just like hope you can get it on the app
Convotherm is like
and
pulling
find.
teeth to get information from.
Oh yeah, we get one of our old techs actually is a Commodore tech, and every time I call him, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, I need to call back and get somebody else.
Yeah, I do not like going to Convotherm calls.
When I first started, there used to be a guy at Cleveland named Jack Muzio. I don't know how long you've been doing this. I'm coming up on 20 years this year, but Jack was one of those guys. Like if you called, he'd be like, Jack. That's how he answered the phone. Just Jack. And he asked some information, dude. And if you didn't have it, he'd hang up on you. Like if you asked for voltage or gas pressure and you didn't have it, he'd just hang up on you. And he'd call your boss. Like, why is this guy calling me? I'm like, that's ruthless, man.
Yeah.
I always, when I would first start doing this, I called Cleveland and I get Jack. I just hang up. I don't care if I waited a half hour. I just hang up and call back. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
We used to have a tech that used to work for Henny Penny in their tech department, and he went back to working for Henny Penny. And I loved calling him because he'd be 2 seconds, boom, this is exactly what it is. You didn't have to ask any questions. He'd be like, what kind of unit is it? Oh, Evo, it's going to be this part right here. Go here and tell me, does it do this? Yes. Okay, that's it.
That's
It was like beyond a shadow of a doubt with this guy, and I loved it.
nice. So you had a lot of struggles early on, I imagine. What was one of the early mistakes that really stick out, or really, you remember to this day that you'll never forget?
Big mistakes. I've had a couple. I overloaded a generator on an AGE cart for an F-15 Eagle once. Basically, it's like a pull behind cart with those big flexibles. So you hook the AC up to the vents so that they can run the plane's avionics while it's sitting on the ground. And I overloaded one of the gen heads and tripped something internally that they had to get sourced pretty quick because you can't run the bird without that cart.
That's wild. That's some pretty cool stuff.
But it was a giant 3-phase diesel engine running two 25 horsepower 134A inch and 3/8 suction compressors. Just had this massive 10-inch slab coil and just runs through it. It would take the tarmac air at 150 degrees and put it out at 45.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, the receiver drum on that thing holds 4 drums of 134.
That's wild. That is absolutely wild. So you've worked on some pretty cool stuff along the.
Yeah, I've worked on those carts, and I worked when they first had Allegiant move into our airport here. They were renting carts from someone, and I got the contract for that. So I was working on carts for Allegiant Airlines for a while. Like I said, luckily we have a lot of defense contractors here locally, a lot of Air Force installation work. So I've worked on some cascading units through that are really cool to work on, literally using stainless steel plates as your heat exchanger for the low temp circuit. And they're really cool to work on. I've had the fortunate pleasure to work on a lot of crazy things.
That's cool. Military base work is absolutely terrible. We don't have hardly anything around here. We have some stuff, but not nowhere near what you are. I went down to Pensacola to help out for a couple weeks over the summer a few years ago, and I went to go work on base, and luckily, like, my contact wasn't there that day, so I couldn't get on base. They just turned me away. I was like, "Oh, thank God." I was like, "I do not want to go in here and do this."
Pensacola is only about an hour from me.
Nice. So they turned me away.
My regular on-call rotation. That's where, as far as I cover, is through Pensacola.
That's a wild drive cruising down the coast. Like,
it's a great place to live, though.
Yeah. I always said I want to live there, and then I go work there during like June or July, and I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm way too fat for this humidity.
Yeah, you
Uh,
say that, but you get used to it.
yeah. So,
I'm 6'2", 340 pounds. I can stand it all day, every day. So
well, I am 6 foot and currently 350, so I feel your pain. Everybody always wonders, like, how do you get them off floor? How do you get them off ladders? Like, I've been doing it 20 years. It's just part of it. Don't bother me. You get used to
HVAC Ash says, "Oh yay, fun!"
it.
I
Yeah.
told her I sent a picture of us in the lobby.
Nice. I love Ash. They're great people over there at Viper. So you've done hot side and cold side. Which do you prefer and why?
Um, that kind of depends on the day. I'm going to be honest. In
Oh,
the heat of the summer, I'd rather do hot side because the temperature difference going cold side, hot side tends to get my sinuses going real bad,
mm-hmm.
and I start to get puffy and go, I can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually prefer hot side in the summertime. You know, there's always that restaurant or two that you never want to touch their cooking equipment,
Mm-hmm.
but those are very few and far between. And thankfully, where I'm working currently doesn't take a lot of those kind of customers. Um, I have had the experience where you open a panel and you close it immediately and go, nope, not touching that. But they're very few and far between. So I I always encourage people to learn both. I mean, I don't know if it's similar to you in your market, but in my market, the difference in technicians between a guy that only does cold and a guy that does both sides is $10 an hour at a
Oh,
minimum.
easy. And if you're good, it can be a lot more than
Yeah.
that. If you're good at both, like it's very rare that someone is actually proficient at both. But if you're proficient at both, you can make some bank.
Oh yeah, my call day averages all kinds of things, man. I just yesterday I started on a drop deck oven that had a flat top, a 3 burner flat top, a Vulcan. I had to put a new thermostat, a new BASO safety, and a new on-off valve because the on-off valve was just seized in the on position. And I was like, well, that's not safe. So I did that, and then they sent me to a walk-in freezer that had a low charge and weak components on the start components. And then they sent me to an R290 cooler after that. I'm like, okay, we're gonna be like that today.
Yeah, I enjoy both. I enjoy the variety. I enjoy the challenge that each offers. But the variety is my best part, my favorite part, because you're never doing the same call 2 times in a row. I started off doing electrical work, and I got stuck doing apartments, and it was literally doing the same apartment over and over and over, the same condo, and it's like I couldn't do it. And luckily, I
That's
have
what got me working for the condo I was at, is because it was the same nuisance calls all the time, with just people staying there on vacation and they're renting it for the week and the air is not working. Well, you got your doors open and it has a door safety switch because it's humid in Florida and we can't run the units with the doors open. So you got to close the patio doors if you want the AC to run. And, just nuisance calls there. Just
or
drove
they
me nuts.
or they set them to 60 degrees and they freeze solid.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
always
I had all programmable stats. They couldn't get that low.
uh, I always
Smarter
find it
than
funny.
that.
I always find it funny when you go into a condo. It's like, please do not turn the air below 68 degrees. You will freeze the unit up and you will not have AC.
Yeah. Well, if they're smart enough, they have a thermostat that won't let them do it anyway.
Yeah, most of them are on Nest or whatever now. So they can, even if you set it,
I
it's,
absolutely detest Nest.
I
Oh
have,
man.
I still have a generic push button thermostat in my house. I'm not getting,
Oh, not me. I got an Eco B5.
I got to run some more wire. I got to run a new wire if I get anything. I don't have enough wires.
I
So,
got an Eco B5 with one of the room sensors that you can move, and it'll average the rooms. And I have a laundry room in the back corner of my house that has no air vent in it because it's a flat pitch roof that was added on, and I keep that sensor over towards that room's door so I can average out and keep the whole house at a sensible temp.
nice, nice. Cheating. So you've mentioned rack systems. What's something most techs don't understand about racks? Like I'd love to work on racks. I don't want to start over, but I think it'd be really cool to work on racks. So what's something that we wouldn't
Most of the
understand?
racks I see in Florida are not supermarket racks.
Yeah.
They have specific companies that go and just do supermarket racks. So we have a lot of like corner stores and chain restaurants that have racks, quote unquote. There's just simply a central condenser unit with
Hmm.
multiple circuits through it, and
Yeah.
they have their own skids mounted inside them so you can work on one at a time.
Yeah. I've seen those
Um,
at like Red Robin and Chili's and stuff.
yeah,
Yep.
P.F. Chang's has them,
Yep.
Fleming's has them, stuff like that. Big corporations like to use them because everything is one piece they can just drop on the roof and you just pipe to it. And they like that. We've had a couple that I've actually, so you know how it is in this trade. Sometimes they don't want to spend the money when they need to spend the money. So we end up with a lot of racks that have satellite units now, where we just run the electric for that unit off of the unit and set a condenser, and
Yeah.
now it has a
You
separate
just,
condenser.
you just pipe out of the rack over into a new condenser on the ground
Yep.
outside. You're like, oh,
And
this is so
then
stupid.
once you get to a certain point on the rack, it makes no sense to keep the rack, and we come in and remove the rack, set an electrical panel, and fix it right.
Mm-hmm.
We've done that a couple of places in the last couple of years. It's quite an undertaking to do on the fly because
Oh,
they're operating businesses. You can't just take them down for 3 days.
yeah. Yeah. And just people don't realize that, restaurants, they're not open, they're losing money. So they don't shut
Uh-huh.
down very often.
And they don't shut down for very long when they do.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're lucky, maybe they'll bring a refrigerated truck in or something, a freezer or something to get them by. But most of the time, you're not that lucky.
No. The
Yep.
last one I did was a building that is literally on piers over top of the water. There's no bringing in a refrigerated truck for that.
That's terrible.
It was just 2 circuits left in there and an ice machine remote, and I had the electrician set the panel, and he was running a new service anyway because he needed more amperage for the new service.
Hmm.
So he brought the new service and set the panel, and in one day we took the unit off. We set the two condensers, and the remote we just set on the roof. We didn't actually install it till the next day.
Nice,
So
nice.
they could be without one head on their ice machine for the
This earpiece is driving me nuts today.
day.
I need to get some better ones. I bought some cheap ones and they're coming back to bite me in the butt. It's That's cool. Yeah, I see a lot of those, like you said, multi-condenser rack things, and sometimes they have ice machines in them, sometimes they don't. It's just like, what in the world's going on? So,
Yeah, we have a couple of chains of convenience stores that like those Hussman racks too,
yep, yep.
with
I've
the
seen.
touch panel that's in the back room, and those are fairly simple. As long
Yeah,
as you have the passcode to get in, which I do, it's not too bad because you can manually operate everything from that centralized panel, and they put service ball valves at each piece of equipment so you can isolate out what you're working on. Which
nice.
sometimes finding those ball valves is fun because they're on top of walk-in boxes and stuff, but they're not too complicated. I mean,
Nice.
changing core dryers is about the most undertaking we do on a regular basis, so that's not hard at all. All of that is valvable.
Yeah, valve off the dryer, change the desiccant in it, and pull
Yeah,
a vacuum on it, open the valve, and go.
go. And all the systems that I'm working on have redundancies, so you don't even have to shut the piece of equipment down to do it. You
Nice.
just divert it through a different pathway for a little bit.
So, you talked about cascade systems. Like, how did you get involved in that, and where did you first encounter that, and what was your first
Uh, Defense contractors is where I've worked on them. We're actually trying to start doing some institutional work for hospitals and such, and we we're not touching that equipment until we get some more specific training on those things. Because like right now, I'm the only one with the knowledge in my general area. So if a call comes in, even if I'm not on call, I have to go, which is kind
story,
of annoying sometimes. But
story of my life, man. Like, oh,
yeah,
our guy on call is not a refrigeration guy, or our guy on call can't work on rationales, or our guy on
I
call.
had that last week, and the guy on call went to pick up a compressor that he didn't need. I had
Mm,
to walk him. I tried to walk him through on the phone, but he didn't want to have it on the phone, so I had to show up
he
and
learned.
go, "You
He
don't need a compressor." Well, show me how you did that. Okay.
Yeah, that's not what it needs.
But the cascading systems were literally a defense contractor like 4 companies ago that I worked for called and said, "Hey, can you work on these?" And I said, "I don't have specific knowledge and experience on them, but I haven't found anything I can't fix with a wiring diagram and a sequence of operations." And it comes with a book that has the piping diagram and the wiring diagram in the book. It has weigh charts for the refrigerants. And I just started going through it. And I said, well, the first one's real easy. It's got a dead compressor. There's nothing you can do without a compressor. So they ordered a compressor. I put it in. It fired right up. Just weigh the charge in. And because, most people haven't even seen some of the refrigerants I've put in some of those. Like the most common is a high circuit of 404A and a low circuit of 508B. And some cases on those units, when they're getting into the negative 60 and 70 degrees Celsius, those 508 circuits are running in a full vacuum.
That's wild.
It is.
That's absolutely wild.
And the way that they weigh the charges for that 508 circuit, the data tag doesn't have an ounces listing or anything like that. It just says static PSI.
Okay. So today I installed a Hoshizaki ice machine, remote condensed. And my trainee, I didn't catch it because I was going to pick something up. I came back and pulled a vacuum. Corbin's in here, so that's my son. He was working with me today, and I pulled a vacuum and didn't think about it, and went to pull the gauges off. And he opened up the condensing unit up on the roof, just a coil and a fan, no compressor. And I was like, "Oh shit!" It just dumped the charge, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, and it's actually 404, but it doesn't have a weigh in there. It says pressure 467 psi. I'm like, I have no idea how much refrigerant you just dumped out of this thing. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I was like, that's the first time I've ever seen that, and I was like,
all you can do is run it and look at the chart.
Yeah, so I reached out to their director of technical service. Hopefully he gets back to me tomorrow. I have to go back and pull a vacuum on line sets and the fan and coil system up on the roof. So hopefully he gets back to me, tells me how much is in it from the factory. I got a feeling I'm not gonna find out. I got a feeling I'm gonna sit there and add gas and wait till this thing to run right. So. But yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen that. It's like it says pressure 467 psi of R404. I'm like, what the hell is that? And how am I going to get 467 psi of R404 into this thing? I'm not.
You can use your recovery machine to push it.
But will it go that high though?
Most won't.
Yeah.
Not 467 pounds, but you can do it. If you're using what do they call those, moleculizer drums, you could probably push it and get it to do it.
We'll see what Hoshizaki says tomorrow.
I've actually pulled a vacuum or in recovery once with nothing but a tank and an ice bath.
Nice.
On an old R22 ice machine at a place I was at. The pump, we went to fire it up and it blew up, and we went, well, that's great. So I just took a drum and vacuumed it out and hooked it up to the low side and stuck the tank down in a batch of ice and kept running cold water over it, and it pulled to like under 10 psi of pressure out of that system.
Nice. I guess I get to figure out tomorrow what I'm gonna do. It was like 5:10. I was like, well, this is a tomorrow problem.
Sounds like a future me problem.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you were probably trying to hope to get it fired up today, weren't you?
Well, I knew I was coming back tomorrow regardless, but I was hoping to let it run overnight.
Yeah.
And just come back tomorrow and just time it out, make sure everything was good, clean up, do notes, paperwork, that kind of stuff. No. I trust. It's my fault for not checking 100%. I'm not blaming him. He just didn't put them back in. He put the ones up on the roof in, but not the ones down in the machine head. So, yeah, I was like, hey, go ahead and open those valves. My son's like, what's that sound? And I was like, oh shit, that's liquid refrigerant. And I was like, oh, we're screwed now. I was trying to call him, and he wasn't answering the phone. And I was like, oh, we just dumped all that.
They never answer when you need them to.
Oh, it was no going back at that point, though. You know what I mean? Once that seal's popped, you don't know what's in there. It's just, I was like, well, that's an expensive lesson to learn. was like, hopefully it ain't too much. It wasn't a very big coil, so I don't imagine it's too much. So
What size head is it?
660.
Oh yeah, it's not that big.
No, it's just six. It's only. I was like, I don't even know why they did a remote condense because they went from a 208 single phase unit to 120 volt. I mean, this thing's got a little bitty compressor on it. It's a remote condense. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Actually the IC next to it we installed last month, and it's a flaker, and it's actually R290. So
Yeah, I've seen those.
yeah, I was
I've seen, unfortunately, a plethora of R290s that I'm not happy about. I saw a true merchandise open air front display case the other day that has 3 compressors, 3 condensers in it.
oh, which there's a structural concept one out there that has 6 circuits.
Ugh.
I'm like, you're not even gonna know something's wrong until you lose like 2 circuits.
This one has 3 circuits, and the drain pans have the little cloth in them to evaporate it up in front of the fan, and they have clear vinyl tubing to equalize the water level between the 3 pans, and it clogs up all the time. And so the center pan takes the brunt of the work, and then it overflows and goes all over this lady's floor every 3 months.
What can you do? What can you do? You just make suggestions to tech support, and hopefully an engineer hears it. And
They're not going to listen.
no, they don't listen. You know, I'm a big fan of True Ice machines. I've seen a lot of their stuff and done a lot of stuff with it, and they're pretty cool as far as serviceability and lots of they have going on. They're pretty durable built. But yeah, I haven't done a big merchandiser that has 3 for True yet. I'm not thrilled about that. I do a lot of structural concepts, and I've seen some that have 4 condensing units in it. Instructional concepts is weird because they actually run 3-phase compressors on inverter drives for their R290 systems.
Yeah, because they're trying to go sparkless with them.
Yeah, I was like, why inverter driven? I was like, that's whatever.
It's the new thing.
Yeah, yeah. If you, the weird thing is, it checks the ohm loads every time that compressor fires up, but if it's not perfect, it won't run. It just shuts down.
Yeah, it shuts it down.
Yeah,
on safety.
I had one that I didn't realize what it was, and my trainee get a recurring theme here. I let him go, and I probably shouldn't because he's not ready to go. But I was just doing what I was told. But he had some shitty leads on his meter and didn't read right. And I was like, so they sent a compressor, and I was like, man, I don't trust his meter leads. So I checked it, and I was like, all 3 of these ohms read out the exact same. And I looked at data tags, like, oh, it's a 3-phase compressor. And then I called structural, like, oh yeah, I'm like, well, it reads fine. It's throwing an error for a bad compressor. And like, no, it needs a frequency drive. But the best part was that I ordered a frequency drive, but the compressor was on my shelf, so I was gone. They had someone else run it. He didn't read the notes. He changed the compressor and the frequency drive. I was like, dude, you just turned a 30-minute job into 4 hours. I was like, way to go, idiot. I was like, how about you read the notes?
Right. Speaking of frequency drives, have you seen some of these big boys yet?
No.
I worked on a restaurant, a fast food chain that has a 100% outside air makeup unit that does 25 tons of cooling, and the frequency drive is 2.5 foot by 3 foot by 2 foot.
I hate to see the price tag on that bad boy.
Oh, dude. It's made by Captive Air. And I went, oh my gosh, what is that? That is a one heck of a drive. I said, could you imagine if that sucker blew up when you flip the switch on?
Dude, kill you.
You better make sure you're behind the door.
Those things always scare the shit out of me. You see some of the big ones, like, oh boy. You see guys just willy nilly. I'm like, I don't know if I'd get so careless around those guys. That's a little dangerous there. All right.
Dangerous anyway.
Oh yeah. So you talked about the AGE cards for F-15 Eagles. Like, so you worked for a defense contractor, or you worked for a company that was
we were subcontracting for Boeing. They were testing 2 Boeing carts against 2 carts from another manufacturer to see which one they liked better. So until they had officially made their selection and turned them over to the military for the military guys to service them, they had us under contract working on them. And it was a lot of dealing with broken switches and knobs and just stupid stuff. So you're using those Molex backed and the twisties and the push button stops, and they break them. just like anywhere else. Just like every restaurant you've ever been to, they break the knob off of a flat top and they go, well, why can't you fix it? I said, I can't just pull it out of thin air.
I like it when you get to call on the weekend. Like, there's flame shoot out the front of my grill. I'm like, well, shut the gas off. Well, we need our grill. I'm like, well, you have a choice to make, and I hope you
Do
make
you
it right.
want arm hair?
I was like, I can see you in an hour and a half, or you can just let it go, and I'll still see you in an hour and a half. Take your pick. And you get there, and the front of the grill's just burn up. Like, I can't believe you
Yeah.
guys let it go for like that long,
I
guys.
keep a couple extra plugs in my truck because they break these burner valves all the time, and we don't carry very many of them. So I just put a plug in with the offending burner port and just fire it back up for them.
Yeah, when I first started, man, I carried like 6 to 8 different varieties, and now I have like 2.
I have one,
I've got 2 different ones, and like,
and
if
it's
it's
not the
bad,
one with the 2 screws on the side that everybody breaks all the time. It's the brass and roundy
screw
round
on.
one.
Yep. I've got both, and it is what it is. It's just like you said, carry some plugs. I'm like, well, here you're down a section. I'll see you in a couple days. Like, what do you may do? Like, I tell people all the time, like, I cannot physically carry all the parts I need to do my job. It's like I got to drive a semi and still wouldn't have everything I need. I'm like, I don't know what to
I
tell you.
got almost $40,000 worth of inventory in my truck, and people still complain about it.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. Yep, I'm loaded down, and I've got 3 combi manufacturers that I'm primary for: Garland Grills, Frymaster. I'm like, I don't know what you guys want me to do. Like, give me a box truck, I guess, and we can try a little more. I mean, take your pick.
I worked for a company for a while that had bread trucks, and they would drive them around. And that was pretty cool.
Have a little workbench and everything in there. You just take it out and work on the
Yeah,
bread.
yeah.
Nice,
One
nice.
guy had like a little miniature 2-foot lathe in the back of his bench.
That's wild. So, what's the biggest difference between working on, something like those AGE cars and working in restaurants? Just security, or
It don't really make a difference to me.
yeah,
My favorite line to tell people is I get paid by the hour no matter what I'm doing. If you
dude.
want me to go PM 15 ice machines and spend my week doing that, I make the same dollar amount. I don't care.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why everyone's like, I got guys that throw a fit, they cry about driving. I'm like, dude, I'll drive to Florida if they're paying me. I don't care. I make the same amount of money sitting behind the steering wheel as I do in a hot, greasy kitchen or in a freezer up on a roof. I'm like,
I
you
spent
could drive to
13
California,
weeks
cool.
last year alone in other markets between I did several weeks in Baton Rouge, one in New Orleans, one in Pearl, Mississippi, Montgomery, Birmingham, Chattanooga, Huntsville. I don't care. If they're behind and they need the help, I'll go. I don't mind.
That's how I am
You guys
too.
pay me to be here, right?
Hmm. So you've talked a little about some successful certifications. You've got 2. What 2 do you have, and what's next on your agenda so you can get that master title?
Electric and gas. And I missed the opening for starting steam this couple months ago.
Oh,
So
you
I
guys,
have to wait for our next rotation to come through.
you guys have a rotation there. So,
Yeah, we have a
oh,
coordinator through the parent company that does all of that. So
see, we let our
you get
guys
to sign
whenever.
up for a slot.
We let our guys do whenever, especially now. Like, it's all LMS besides refrigeration. So electric, gas,
I
steam.
hear it's all fixing to be LMS, including refrigeration
Yeah,
soon.
refrigeration. I think is going to be this summer. It should be out. They're doing the
Yeah,
patient.
they didn't have a rotation for refrigeration this past rotation. That's why I was going to do steam now because they said they were waiting for the LMS to come out for it.
Yeah, you can still do the book if you want. I wouldn't.
I did the electric out of the book.
I've had 3 of mine for 19 years, and then I've had the 4th one probably 15 years. And there's gonna be some changes coming up to the CFESA stuff, so stay tuned.
This is the first company I've worked for that even cares about them. Everybody else has been like, no, we don't care. I even worked for a company for a while doing commercial. They were trying to get me to get NATE certified. I'm like, no,
No,
I got no reason to be NATE certified.
yeah, someone said that to me, and I was like, "Why?" I was like, "No,
What would I do with that?
exactly. It's
Put it on my shoulder and call it a day?
it's irrelevant for what we do." And it's funny.
It is.
So, was that just something you wanted to do on your own, or is it something the company encouraged you to do, or how'd that work
Our
out for
company encourages us to do it. They like having CFESA badges on their uniforms and being able to say we employ CFESA techs. I see the merit in it.
you?
I
At
just
first,
never had a company that was willing to pay me to take the class. So
I take a lot of pride in that master certified tech on my tech badge on my shoulder. Actually, I get kind of mad because sometimes we'll hire guys in and our uniform company just puts them on their buddies, and I'm like, no, you get them
yeah,
new shirts. I was like, either I'm gonna rip those off or you get them new shirts. The choice is yours. I was like, because
yeah.
I work for mine.
We've had a couple of people do that. We pick out our own patches on the uniforms, and the new guys, they're like 22, and they just select everything. And I'm like, you didn't earn that badge. You need to take that badge off.
Yeah, we had a van come in and it had CFESA Master Certified Tech on the door, and I was like, no, he's not. So you need to pull that off there. Well, it came in the decal package. I was like, I don't care. You need to pull it off there, and they pulled it off. I was like, I have pride in that badge and what it means. You know, when I first got my master certification, I didn't have any idea. I worked for companies just pushing it, and now after being a CFESA trainer and doing a lot of the other things I do, I see what that badge really means to some people and what it should mean. And I hold a lot of pride in actually being a CFESA Master Tech, and I take it serious.
It's just a standardized benchmark, is what I like to look at it as.
Yeah, it does. It sets a standard for what our industry is. They do a lot of good stuff. It's just people don't understand it, but they do a lot of stuff. So now you did some stuff with Interplay Learning. How did you get involved with that?
They reached out to me actually. I helped them build 6 modules, and oddly enough, it was mostly my pumping knowledge that they were after for hydraulic pumping and centrifugal pumps and all of that from when I worked at the motor shop. And they were building a module involving a grease extractor, so they wanted, centrifugal knowledge and all that. But they reached out to me. They did a couple of, video interviews and said, "Can you help us out with this?" And I said, "Sure, absolutely." So I went
Sorry, I
online with
didn't mean
them.
to derail you there.
Do what?
I didn't mean to derail you by throwing it up there. It's Rich, my co-host. He says he's there in spirit tonight.
Um, so I did a couple of modules with them, and then they published them. It's pretty cool though, because they do all the 3D imaging, and
Mhm.
they were going through step by step, and I would have to tell them, in order to get to those bolts, you have to take this off first. So they would have to rewrite the steps and come back again, and have the back post team fix the mistakes, because they'd be like trying to take the impeller off before they ever take the bell housing off, and I'm like, that's not how it works.
It's impossible. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't get to that unless you take this and this and this.
Nice try.
I wish it was that easy.
If it was that easy, I'd make a lot more money. That's funny. So what's, in your opinion, for training organizations and stuff like that, what are they missing right now? What do they need to do better?
Interplay has gone a long way, in my opinion, towards doing the right way to do it,
Yeah.
with the immersive experience and being able to put the VR goggles on and be there and actually touch what you're doing,
Mhm.
and you can hold the leads to your meter in there and see the readings and all of that. They've I think they're on the right track to being what the immersive technology needs to be for what we need.
Mhm.
The thing I was talking to them about is you need to get more into specific stuff.
Mhm.
It's great to have a course that's, troubleshooting 101 basically, but you need further stuff than that. And I understand that they have to build their catalog from zero, so they're starting at a point and they have to work their way to, the end point. But there's tools to help techs that are brand new, but
Mm.
the one of the things I love about where I work now is there's always a chance to learn something new.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
always preach to guys,
your work has a
learn
really
as
great
much as you
training program.
can.
Yeah.
'Cause, uh, oh, what's it hurt to make yourself work a buck an hour more? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with learning how to fix something new so
Mhm.
that you can fix something you've never fixed before? And my biggest thing on a job site is, and then when I was the service manager at a company, I preached it to the guys. If I can teach you how to do it, that means I don't have to go do it anymore.
So, dude,
I'm too old for this.
I have people all the time ask me, like, "How do I get to where you're at?" I'm like, "Don't stop learning." I'm like, "You wanna make good money? Don't stop learning. Do it on your own." I say it all the time, like, your company's gonna train you in what they need you to do, but if you wanna be more than that, it's gonna be up to you to do it. for the most part. So
Yeah, I preach to guys wiring diagrams, and I beat them over the head with it. Luckily, I have a friend of mine who has worked. When I was a service manager at a previous company, we hired him from the schoolhouse and vocational school, and he hadn't even finished his AC1 course yet. We hired him in, and he was an installer for us, and then he left the company, and he's been where I am now longer than I have. And we work together very well. And he has come back to me after 6, 7 years in this trade now and gone, you used to say things a lot, and I see what you were saying now.
mm-hmm.
You used to preach to me wiring diagrams. You used to preach to me, you got to know the sequence of operations, follow the sequence of operations. And I see that. And he's actually a district field trainer for the company I work for now. And he preaches the same thing that I used to preach to him now.
Who is it?
His name is Will. He's a good kid.
Nice.
I say he's a kid. He's 27 or 28 now.
And he's already a district field trainer? That's pretty cool.
He's a lead technician and a district field trainer.
That's awesome. That's
In his 20s. Yeah, that's impressive no matter who you work for.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's been a district field trainer since 2024.
Jeez, that's cool.
He wasn't even a lead technician, but he was already a district field trainer.
That's funny. So is there anything in this industry right now that frustrates you?
Certain manufacturers not being willing to give you the information is the only thing that really frustrates me.
Yeah. And
the way I look at it is there's enough work out there that everybody has plenty to do. I mean, there's no shortage of work to be done. And I don't understand why there are certain manufacturers that won't answer the phone and tell you, hey, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, a lot of them are like, oh, we only want our trained technicians working on this. Well, that's not going to be the case. Like, you can control it under warranty, but outside of warranty,
yeah,
you're going to have to share some of that information.
And the biggest one I butt heads with all the time is Hobart.
Yeah.
Because I have to straight up tell my customers, it's Hobart. I can't work on it.
Well, yeah, because
they won't give you the info.
The old stuff you can do, but like the new stuff, like the boards aren't programmed. Like you have to field program the boards.
Yeah.
I'm like, so.
And when I have to repair an Aon unit and I need a laptop with their proprietary software, or my previous company, I ran into a couple of train condition makeup units that you have to have a software program and run their software program. So as a contractor, I had to sub out the programming to a trained technician. I could do the work and put all the parts in, but I have to pay them to come in and program them for me.
That's wild. That's absolutely wild. So let's get into some advice you'd give young technicians. If someone listening right now and they feel behind or they feel lost, what would you tell them?
Stay the course is the biggest thing. Is too many people get disheartened with, I don't know how to do that. Well, you're not going to learn unless you try to do it.
Yep.
And it's as simple as getting your hands dirty and laying in the grease underneath a fryer at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Friday and going, how the heck am I going to do this? I had a technician not that long ago. I was working in another market, and he had been on a 4-bank of fryers, Henny Pennies, for several hours. And they were like, can you go help him? And I'm like, how long has he been there? They're like, this is his first call of the day. I'm like, it's 3:30. Like, what do you mean? It's his first call of the day, and you're just now sending somebody to check on him?
He worked through lunch rush, and he's still there.
Yeah. The thing is the dispatcher let him drown.
Yeah.
He knew he was struggling. He knew he needed help, and he just left him there for hours to wilt.
You gotta have a dispatcher that understands and knows, like, someone's in trouble, or this shouldn't be going this long. That's a shame on them. But I mean, I'm not saying not everybody, not all dispatchers know either, too. So
what he had done was the fitting that goes up through the vat, he had rounded it off, and he couldn't get it loose. He's like, it won't go. My channel locks are just slipping. I was like, where are your vice grips? He's like, what are vice grips? This kid's like 23, 24. He's asking me what vice grips are. And I'm like, all right, hold on. Let me go get my good vice grips out. And I got it loose for him. And I said, and here's a pair of vice grips for you. That way you never have this problem again.
Put some
He's like,
heat
"Man,
on
I
the
really
put some heat on the threads. And
yeah."
crank on it as hard as you can. Hope for the best.
And in 10 minutes, I had him lined out and in the right direction, which
Like,
is just as simple as he shouldn't have been floundering that long.
yeah, and you
And,
gotta set
and that
expectations.
discourages people.
Yeah, and you gotta set expectations with guys. Like, hey, if you're not getting this or making progress, you need to reach out to somebody. Like, you're not gonna be in trouble. I'd rather you reach out to someone within that half hour, 45 minutes, an
Absolutely.
hour than 6 hours later. You got a rounded off fitting that you can't get out, and you're sitting there
I'd
spinning.
rather you call me and ask me how to do something rather than screw it up, and then I gotta come fix your screw up.
It's like drill it out and put an easy out in it or something. Like, don't just yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've been there. That's a hard one.
Yeah,
Um,
especially when it on one of those units that's got the common drains where you drain the vat across and you have to take all that out of the way to get in there to get those vice grips in there.
yep, 100%. I already know what the answer is going to be to this because I think you said 3 or 4 times. So, what should a first year tech be focusing on, and what are they probably ignoring?
They need to focus on their wiring diagrams,
It's sequence of
100%.
operations.
Sequence of operations,
Yep.
100%. And one of the big ones that they don't preach to guys that they don't get is work on your tools.
Hmm.
You got to have the right tools for the job. The perfect example is the kid was like, "What's vice grips?" This kid's probably 24, 25. Never knew what a vice grip was.
Well, and he probably had a crescent wrench on there, and not an actual wrench on the fitting to start with.
Yeah,
You know how it is. You have cheap
rounded
crescent.
it off, and then he took his, pump plier channel locks to it
Yeah,
and just started eating at it.
if you have cheap crescent wrench, they loosen up, they back off, and then you're just dead in the water. You gotta have something that have good positive engagement. So yeah, I already know how it started, how it ended.
And and you got to use them the right way too, because a lot of people don't understand that pliers and channel locks
Bite one way.
and crescent wrenches are designed to be turned a certain direction.
Yep. Yeah,
And a
100%.
lot of people don't understand that, and they're like, "It backs off." I'm like, "Yeah, because you're turning it the wrong way." And
Mm.
a lot of people struggle with the orientation of righty tighty, lefty loosey when you're upside down.
Yep, yeah, that's what gets them every time upside down. I'm like,
Like,
"Stop."
you're tightening that. No, I'm not. I'm turning it to the right. No, you're not.
Well, I was watching one of my guys today, and he was the fitting was on the back side of something, so he was looking from the front, and he was trying to loosen it, he was going the wrong I'm like, "No, it's backwards, dude." I'm like, "It's not the way you think because you're not staring at the right direction." "Oh, yeah." I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad I was here and you didn't round
We
that
were
off."
inverted.
Yeah, you because we were inverted. That's right. All right. So let's couple quick closing things. If you could go back and talk to yourself on that stage, dreading going to summer school because you got a blank folder handed to you, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, that's a loaded question right there. I'd probably say the same thing I tell new techs, just stay the course.
Yep. Don't get
I mean,
frustrated.
I literally went with no college education,
Mhm.
no real prospects to a guy that's, I own my own home, I own my cars, I make a really good living out here.
Mhm.
I'm not making $250,000 a year, but I'm not, making 65 either.
Yeah.
So
It's all about
it can
effort
be
put
done.
in. Effort in equals, what comes out.
Yeah. And the skill set that you learn makes you more valuable. So whenever they say, "Hey, do you want to go take a class on Mary Chef ovens?" Absolutely. I sign up for every class they ever offer me to go to, and half of them they tell me after I've signed up that no, we don't think you need to go to that class. I
I'm like
don't care. I will go to every class you will send me to.
100%. There's days I've been doing this 20 years. There's still days where I can't fix anything. I don't know why it happens or how it happens. Like, you just get your butt kicked on the simplest things. You're like, what's wrong with me?
You get the horse blinders on. You
Yeah,
think it's going to be this way, and you narrow your focus, and you don't look at what's right here flashing at you.
oh, yeah. That's 100%.
Sometimes you just got to stop, take a step back, and go, okay, let's start from zero again and rethink this.
That's funny. That's funny. So, what does success look for you for the next 5 to 10 years? What are some goals you have, aspirations, career things? What do you want to do in the next 5 to 10 years?
Want to finish my CFESA, of course.
Mhm.
Looking to have that mastered by the end of next year. And then we actually have another step up called a regional lead. I want to get into a regional lead position.
Nice.
Basically, it's just the guy that goes into other markets and troubleshoots and fixes the screw ups, which I kind of sort of already do sometimes. I'm the guy that they call at 2 o'clock on a Friday and say, "Hey, do you want to go to Eufaula?" And I go, 3.5 hours one way? Absolutely. I want to get paid for that.
Sure.
I don't care whether I'm driving or I'm up on a roof sweating or I'm freezing my nuts off in a walk-in cooler. Doesn't matter. It pays the same.
Yep.
So
100%.
if you
Yeah.
want me to drive a 6-hour round trip to go pick up a part, I'll do it. I don't care.
That's a great attitude to have, dude. I make a lot of money driving, man. And people get mad. I'm like, dude, whatever. It is what it is.
I'm like top 3 on the amount of miles put on a van by a technician yearly.
Yeah,
Because I will drive. I don't care. They've sent me all the way out to Texas, and it's a 12.5 hour drive one way. And I'll go spend the week out there working. I don't care.
yeah, I've had those
I get
days.
paid by the hour.
I had to go into another market to work on a Fry Master fryer on a food truck, a Chick-fil-A food truck. It was a weird experience. But I got there and I had to work on it. I'm like, hey, I got it fixed. Like, oh no, you're not done. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, you have to follow it to where it's going and sit there. So I followed it 2 hours further away from my house to where it was going, stayed there until they ran out of food, and then drove 6 hours home. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm like, this is
Yeah,
hilarious.
babysit it.
I'm like just babysitting a fryer. I'm like, this is
I've
dumb.
been there, done that.
I'll do whatever though. So all right, Mike. I really appreciate you coming on. I don't know if you want to promote your social media or anything you have out there. Now's your chance to let people know where they can find you. If not, it's
I,
not a big deal.
I'm not really posting work stuff on there, but as you can tell by my shirt, if you're into cards and Pokemon and TCGs, you can follow me on any social media. I'm Kades_cards, KADES_cards. Anywhere you want to find me.
Nice, nice. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We got someone come in one quick question real quick. So Clarence Levon Smith, I am a C20 contractor to the state of California. I have a friend that worked on appliances. Aren't you supposed to be certified to do that to get a certificate? There's really no certifications besides like CFESA setting the standard and that kind of thing. Most of the time to work on appliances is just as long as you're covered by a business license or insurance, it's free game. And then once you get a certain amount of income, I think it's a different insurance policy. And then of course you got to be 608 certified to buy some refrigerants and stuff like that. But it's the wild, wild west in most places around
I
here.
can tell you in the state of Florida that if you want to work on appliances is the key thing. Anything that is not permanently affixed to the building, it is on wheels, aka. Then all you have to have is a business license hanging and insurance. You can work on fryers, reach-in coolers, anything that is not permanently affixed to the building. It has to be on casters.
That's wild. That's wild. Good question, Clarence. All right. We're going to end it now. I really appreciate you coming on, Mike. You saved my tail. I owe you.
No worries.
Have a good night, man.
All right, thanks.
Yep. If you guys would, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. It really helps us grow and helps us know which direction to move in. Also, if you have any suggestions for guests, please email me at commercialkitchenchronicles@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest, email me. Love to have you guys on. Thanks a lot. See you next week.